It's Monique and Jerry Martini coming to you live from Park City, Utah.
How you doing? They call me Papa J.
Papa J. So we're at Sundance. We just wanted to come on and talk to you because we came here to be a part of the release, the premiere release by Hulu and Disney for the film Sly Lives, The Burden of a Black Genius. And we're just going to spend a few minutes talking to you because I've asked the question of Papa J. I've said, what does that mean? The burden of a black genius? Do we believe in that concept, for example? Or even, is it a concept? Is it a burden? You know, the burden of black genius. Is it a burden? So let's spend a few minutes talking about that. What do you think?
I have an opinion on that.
Well,
and it is indeed a burden because, first of all, when you're that brilliant, everybody from the top down will going to want to take advantage of you because they want to use your genius and your brilliance. And so, and the worst thing that can happen, and is what happens to most stars, is you attract the best and the worst of all people. You get the drug dealers, the pimps, the whores. Excuse my language, I don't like to use the word whore. But anyway, all the people that are going to take advantage of you, and the business people in the business. You become a target, you become a victim, and therefore, people like him, they try to cover it up. And at first, it's okay. When we were kids, I used to bring him his weed. We used to smoke a couple joints, or one joint, and laugh and talk. And he talked to me with a microphone. He goes, "Hey Jerry, listen to this," because that's way before cell phones, and he was just so ahead of his time. And the reason he became a DJ is because he just couldn't find the right people to play with. But he was a brilliant musician. His first gold record was doing the swim for Bobby Freeman, and I'm kind of glad he didn't play saxophone because I got to play on that. But he played all the instruments in the whole session. His brother Freddie's the same way. His brother Freddie plays all that plus the trombone and the tuba, you know. So that's my answer.
That is really, it's powerful. It's a powerful answer. I should probably go back and introduce Jerry Martini to the Cosmo audience, Cosmoverse out there. Jerry Martini is the founder of Sly the Family Stone, and you'll hear this directly out of Sly's mouth when you watch the film, which is going to be released on Hulu on February 13th. Jerry Martini has been around from day one, so he knows everything. I want to say everything about Sly the Family Stone. And when I watched the film, I thought about all these hours of conversations that I've had with Jerry, from his induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, some of these real pivotal moments in the history of Sly the Family Stone. And also when I watched the film, even though it says Sly Lives, it's really a story about Sly and the Family Stone. And so when you put that history together with all of the musicians, the A-list musicians that you'll hear from when you watch the film, you will see where these musicians and who they were influenced by. So Jerry, maybe there's so many stories, right? So if you were to pick a couple of stories and of some of those real big moments in your history, let's maybe a couple of them.
Well, of course, I think the largest one was us playing. We went on at 3:00 in the morning at Woodstock. We were scheduled to play at 10 p.m., but because back in those days, you only had one stage. You couldn't roll stage A out of the way and put stage B there. So, plus all the sound people are all on acid and stuff. So really, it took a long time. So we went on at 3 a.m. We were tired. It was like the day before, it was wet, there was mud everywhere. And all the people were out there, they didn't care. They were just laying around in the mud and everything. And I played back at the Woodstock thing a couple years ago with the band I have now, the Family Stone, and it looks like a modern thing. They have little restaurants and they have paved streets. It's like, it just didn't feel the same at all. But anyway, in the original one, it was a whole different world, and the people, there was no fights. 2 people died. One person OD'd on drugs. The other person got ran over by the farmer's tractor, which is terrible. But anyway, that was the one that really impressed me. Before that, we played on Ed Sullivan's show live, and that kind of scared me because we're standing on a stage about 4 feet high, and there's a live audience, and 20 million people were watching that, I believe. And it was so different. Everybody in the audience had suits on, like in the old days, and Sly was going up and down the aisles doing the ham bone, and they were like, what the heck is that? But they loved it, and that was our first break. We went from the casinos and the club gigs to big venues from that. That was Ed Sullivan Live that changed our lives. That's your answer.
And it was such a fast, over a period of time. How long was this when you talked about from that beginning and then to this point of the Ed Sullivan show? What was that time frame?
1 year.
1 year.
1968 was Ed Sullivan. And then also my mom started talking to me again after she saw me in Ed Sullivan, because she didn't understand that the way we were dressing was part of a plan. She used to see my hair combed back and playing down on Broadway, to growing it long and stuff and wearing weird clothes. And she says, I'm not going to talk until you start running around with those damn gypsies. She wasn't prejudiced, and I played with a black group. But to see us and everything, when I rode the subway in New York, people used to move on the other side because we dressed different. We were different. And then she saw me on Ed Sullivan's show, and then she invited me over for dinner. So
that it's so much in the history. Talk about the time when Sly would call you or talk to you through the radio. I thought that was fascinating too.
Well, that's way before cell phones or anything. And I used to hang out with him in the studio, and I would go down there in San Francisco, K-Soul, and he did a lot of funny things. He had a piano right behind the board. He'd spin around on the piano and play something. Nobody did that, and he would sing a song, and he'd always say the average temperature in San Francisco is 59 degrees. So maybe 10 times during the show, he'd say 59 degrees in San Francisco, and it was just clever, and he did so much great thing. He'd sing. He would sing a song on the piano. He would he'd go, hey Jerry, listen to this, and he'd turn around and play a song for me on the keyboards, and he was just so ahead of his time. He would do things like, he was innovative too. White people used to, it was a black station. White people listened to him. The bands in New York, people in New York loved him. And that's when we did our first album. It was too hip, and so it was rejected by most of the world because it told the story. The horn lines were incredible. So he brought it down a few notches. He said, okay, I'll give them what they want. And then our first number one, Dance to the Music, that was like a kindergarten song for him, but still, it was still innovative. People loved it, but the people in New York and all the wealthy entertainers in Vegas loved our first album. It was number one in New York and number one in Las Vegas, and number 1 million for the rest of the world, because in general, the rest of the world is not as musically and a lot of times culturally as hip as the people who are the ones who set the pace for what's going on in our country. Okay, so
Jerry, is there something that you regret about anything that you've done?
Yes. Not necessarily what I've done, but it's suffering from the emotional trauma that I experienced when all the procurers and evil people who follow geniuses around changed the whole thing, changed the game, changed his performance. He was a great performer, a great orator. If you look at what he said, he was already using it at Woodstock in '69, but he still had that magic. And when all the evil people got a hold of him, slowly that magic went away. He didn't show up. He couldn't talk straight. And he was brilliant. He had so much funny stuff, and when we first started on the road, we were poor. It's before Ed Sullivan. We drove in a big truck that carried the equipment with a B3 organ in it. I was little, but I was strong, and we drove around the country, just Sly and I in front, and Big Daddy, his father, in a 12-passenger station wagon going behind us. But we used to play games. I told Sly, I said, look, let's see which one of them cheats they had to change drivers every 100 miles. I said, let's see who cheats first. Except Big Daddy, he didn't. They all cheated. Every one of them, 10 miles, 15 miles, I said, looks like it's only 84 miles, and we kept ourselves, happy by making jokes, telling stories, and really, you get to know somebody pretty good driving across the United States in an old beat-up truck, and there's only the two of you. So we became very, very close friends, and he, a lot of my ideas he took, but not just me. If the person on the street came up and said something and it would ring a bell, he always carried a pen and pencil or a pad, and he wrote everything down. He was with a friend of his, and somebody got hurt, and Sly said, "Oh, that's terrible," and that he got like that. And his friend said, "Well, better thee than me." Yep, he wrote it down. That was just one example.
Put it in a song.
Yeah,
you write it down and put it in a song?
Yes, there's a song called "Better Thee Than Me." That was my point for that for that statement. He'd write it down, and most people who know all Sly songs know that "Better Thee Than Me." It wasn't a big hit song, but it's one of them. And he wrote about people. Our first single was a hit only in a few places. The album didn't go over because it was years ahead. The only people that really, really loved our first album was all of the musicians in the United States. Wow. They became our first fans, and they literally worshipped him. He influenced so many people. I mean, Jackson 5 did our songs. I mean, they did stand. They loved our band, the Jackson 5, and so many other ones, that we influenced. Yeah. Even Prince loved Sly. He was so influential. He was a step ahead of everybody else. His concept was unbelievable. I stopped trying to write when I heard his stuff. I said, I'm just going to shut up, man. But then later on, in my life, I experienced. I got better, but I never even tried to be on his level, because nobody is on Sly's level. I don't know any person. Miles Davis used to follow him around like a dog. Wow. He talked about Miles treated everybody like dirt, and he treated Miles the same way. He would get in the car, man. And he has so much power that. See, back then he realized he was they all belonged to the Church of God in Christ, and Sly was very heavily involved in the church. Since his brother Freddie been a pastor for 40 years. And when you get into the drugs and all the evil people, they bring you away from God. When you get away from God, there you are. And that's why you end up sometimes in the street or a van or, the brilliance is still there inside you because God gave it to you. But it covers it up, and that's exactly what the people that, I don't want to just talk religion, but the devil was really happy with that, what happened. And,
wow.
But it was very inspiring. I was blessed to be really close with him, and we traveled together, all the way up until the procurers and the dogs and the snakes took over. Then I used to ride in the Learjet with him. We used to rent Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton's private jet, fly over the place, and after they started taking my place, and he started giving me some blow, I wasn't funny. I used to make him laugh all the time. Once I stopped making him laugh, I was of no use, and so I had to ride in a DC-3 with everybody else, That was back early days. We used to barnstorm across Texas, playing all the small venues in the DC-3.
It's so incredible, and my heart is so full because it's such an honor for me to be here in that capacity as Jerry's manager and managing our current tour that we're on. It's a great honor, and I don't for a second lose sight that I'm here with the great Jerry Martini, with his history of Sly the Family Stone, and a lot of things that we talk about. We talk a lot about passing on our knowledge to youth. Jerry came to Minnesota recently. We had the tour at the Armory, which was the Twin Cities Habitat for Humanity's Build Forward Bash, honoring President Carter on his 100th birthday. And happy birthday to Jerry. The same day, October 1st, he celebrated his 82nd birthday. So I'm sitting here with a legend who has so much inside of them, so much information to pass on. I introduced Jerry to the youth in our innovation lab, and just talking about what is it, how do we teach the youth of today and our future of what to avoid in the industry. We talk a lot about that, right, Jerry?
Absolutely. And the reason that we're here together is because I know how good you were. I know what you've been through and what you've done, and I was getting ready to give up on a lot of things because most people, especially in the music industry, are for lack of a better word, vampires. They are going to suck you dry of all your knowledge and your money, and they're going to take a lot and give you a little. That's just the way the world is, And so I'm feeling young and strong again now at 82. I get my 10,000 steps, and I'm just getting started on hopefully some really good years coming before I have to go see the boss.
And it's some things, we're out, we're spending time together, we're traveling, and some of the things that I see that I would like to talk to whoever's watching, whoever's listening, and especially to young people, is how we have to really honor our ancestors, our elders. On the road, I see a lot of what I would call disrespect to elders. I see it in the airports as we're traveling, and I just want people to really understand that the elders are passing on their knowledge. They have so much to teach us. And I don't even consider Jerry an elder, because you should see Jerry on stage performing and playing the saxophone. I don't know how you hold those long notes like you hold, because I can't do that.
I don't know how to circular breathe like the young kids. I just take it and I hold up until my ears are tingling.
We laugh a lot, but it's really sad when I'm traveling and I see the disrespect to elders. And I just want to really point out that let's really pay attention to what we're doing in the community and how we have respect for the people that have so much knowledge and so much to give to the world. So I don't want to stay on that soapbox, but I just wanted to mention
Absolutely.
that, Jerry.
Well, you know what, Sly, he was a visionary, and he wasn't like they wanted him to be a soul man only. White people only wanted him to play white music. Black people only wanted him to play. He was all of that, And talking about the truth, he had a song called "Babies Making Babies," and it's "Tell the Truth to the Youth." I mean,
right.
He was so knowledgeable, and it's a God-given talent, and he grew up in the church, and God is the one that gave him that talent, and also. The opposite, they're going to try to take that away from you because you know too much, and they want to see you fall. People jealousy is worldwide. People who are, when you're the idol to some people, other people, they want to see you fall. and that's just the way life is in our country. Rather than just show respect to the people you're listening to. Like, Sly loved everybody. I used to make fun of Bob Dylan sometimes because I was trying to be a black player, and he told me, he said, listen to this, man. And I laughed because I used to laugh at Bob Dylan something, just the way he looked and stuff, but he got mad at me. He said, listen to this. Don't ever say that again. And he started playing some Bob Dylan. He goes, this guy's a genius. So that's what Sly was head at. His mind was non-racial. He just loved people that had something to say, you don't need a weather vane to know it's where the wind blows. I mean, Bob Dylan was brilliant,
Right. Wow. The lyrics and teaching young people to really pay attention to the lyrics. And like you said, he would creatively write it down, put it in a song. And you'll find that with a lot of artists. And I noticed that with the artists that are featured in the film.
Yeah.
You'll hear them talking about a lot of these lessons. They're passing that on too.
Absolutely.
That they got from Sly and the Family Stone. And so just really brilliant. I encourage everyone to see the film as we embark on this next adventure, this journey. We're talking a lot about not just touring, but about how we activate on the ground in cities to pay attention to what's going on in the community. How are we taking care of one another? Highlighting and really talking about these societal ills that we see. Not just landing, making people feel good in a concert and leaving. We're being more intentional about what's going on around the country.
Absolutely. As a parent, like what I've seen, things were different. When I was born in 1942. And when I was growing up, you respected your parents, and you might be a bad boy, you might get in trouble. And in the old days, my dad would go get a branch off the tree, a small one, and
the switch.
And you go to school, the teachers would see that mark on your leg. They'd say, you better listen to your parents. Now you know what happens if they see that? The parents get arrested, okay? And I've seen that happen. And so you don't have to be so physical now, but I've seen our country and the world lose respect for the elders, because that's who you learn from. You learn from their glories. You learn from their mistakes. See, mistakes you're supposed to learn from. So I don't know. Jesus was the only perfect one that I know, but everybody else, we all make mistakes. But if you keep doing it over and over, you're just a damn fool. If you learn from them, then you're a person that gains wisdom.
It's just to hear you speak and to hear you willing to pass on this knowledge to future generations. It's such an honor. Thank you to Questlove, who's the director of the film, and Joseph Patel, as the producer, for releasing such a tremendous film. Jerry, what are some of the highlights that you saw in the film that you loved?
Okay, well, I look for being that they sent a limo for me 3 days in a row, and they grilled me for 6 hours a day, all 3 days. And to be honest with you, Joe Patel was a brilliant man, and I will always respect him. Questlove is a rising star, who I met Questlove years ago in New Zealand when he first started playing. And I watched him grow, and I was very proud of him that he made it all the way up to what he's done. He got an Oscar. I love watching people grow into something else. I've seen bands in New York go from a street band and then being famous. I met the Beatles in Rome, and they were humble. I was in awe. In 1965, I'm playing at a club in Rome, and the Beatles walk in, and they were going to kick them out because they wore their regular Beatle outfits, and you had to wear a suit. And somebody said, "Les Beatles, les Beatles." So on my break, I went and talked to them, and I was 65. I was playing in a club band, and I was just being silly. I said, "Man, I never thought I'd get to meet you, man." And John Lennon goes, "Well, you never know who you're going to run into, And then I felt really silly then, and so I moved on to Ringo. And I said, "My drummer's got your picture up on the wall." He goes, "I don't know what for. He's got a better foot than I do." So they were humble, and I get a chance to talk to Paul because he was busy. He was dancing. But later on, he came out and took his picture with me. And I have it up on my wall, and I'll always cherish it and Sly loved the Beatles. Sly loved Ray Charles. Sly made a hit. When Sly was a disc jockey, there was a song that came out called Let's Go Get Stoned by Ray Charles. It was in the garbage can. Everybody threw it in the garbage can because it said stoned. Sly took it out of the garbage, played it every hour. It became #1, and Ray Charles was so grateful to Sly.
Wow.
He had Sly on one of his shows.
Incredible.
In the future, and that's nothing. I mean, he liked the ones that set me free. Don't you, babe? Those people, and the Vanilla Fudge loved him. In New York, they were the thing. When we went to New York, the Vanilla Fudge, they just raved over us. And musicians in New York. See, back in the day, I don't know about now. I'm an old man now. But when I was growing up, New York was the king, and then the ones that want to make more money, because there's so many good musicians in New York.
Right.
They went to L.A. and they're really good. It was a little bit more jaded, but variety. But they all loved, and they brought their talent. The best musicians in Los Angeles, most of the session musicians in those days were from New York City, and when I went there, I learned so much. I said. A lot of them were good players, but I was lucky because there wasn't any funky white boys.
Well, we haven't even talked about that. Before we get to that question, you mentioned people that love Sly.
Yeah.
We know Prince loved Sly.
Absolutely.
And so talk about that, because you actually went on tour with Prince.
Yeah.
With Cynthia Robinson, who's his first female trumpet player. Right?
Yeah, that's
so
right.
Let's give some love to Cynthia Robinson, and then talk about that, just that fascination that Prince had with Sly and the Family Stone.
Okay, going to Prince. When I first met Prince, I was already really impressed with him because I saw he was a good writer, and plus he was shorter than me, so I loved that. And he loved Sly and the Family Stone. So what he did, he already had. He saw us play at the Sinbad Soul Festival in 1996 or 97. I remember some things,
Okay.
And so he saw us, and he saw Larry Graham play the bass, and Prince was a master of every instrument, but he couldn't do the funk thing like Larry on the bass, but he sure did learn it after a few years. By the time he got through, Prince could play a funky bass, but Prince was just amazing, and he was impressed with me and Cynthia as the hornplex section, because the hornheads, his horn players, they whooped us. They were great. They had a girl who played bari saxophone. She'd lift her leg every time she could hit a good note. They loved us, and we loved them. We used to go play in town when we all jammed afterwards, and his band was blow my mind, because Cynthia and I are not schooled musicians. Like the guys back there, the hornheads, they're all schooled,
right.
But they love this. And Candy Dolfer is like a family friend now. Her parents are my age, and her dad is a famous European saxophone player. And so I just got so much out of that because it put me up. After our the Sly and the Family Stone kind of caved in when Sly went to different places and different life experiences. I was just heartbroken, so I ended up moving to Hawaii to lick my wounds. If you're going to lick your wounds, Hawaii is a good place to go do it.
Agreed.
And so I stayed there, and I played clubs, and actually I became a booking agent there. I joined a company that had 6 accounts, and then the boss in Vegas fired the owner and hired me, and I brought it up to 49 accounts. So I got to see a lot of local bands and experience a whole new thing. And then from that, I went back. I got a call from Prince. I went back on the road, and I did 15 countries with him. What an amazing person. Yeah, I was just starstruck by Prince. And what I didn't know was he was starstruck by us. He was very humble, especially Sly. And just the whole experience. I've lived 82 years, and I can't thank God enough for all the experiences I've had, good and bad. It took me Took me many wives to find the one I have now. I was born in the coal mines in Colorado, and my mom said, "Well, son, just keep doing it till you get it right." And I said, "Okay, Mom, I'm just going to follow your advice." Sorry, it didn't work out, but anyway. And then I found a nurse in 1997 that we just locked, and we've been together ever since. I am a happy man. As long as I do what she says, everything is fine.
Miss
That's a
Trini
joke.
She is a beautiful.
You're a very strong-minded woman.
Absolutely.
And she doesn't drink or anything like that. So I need a person that's straight in my life, because I grew up. I started drinking when I was 14 years old with a local band from New Orleans, but they just had his name. Later on, I don't know who remembers Queen Ida and the Zydeco Queen, and her brother Al became Al Rapone, and they got famous. But he taught me a lot of stuff, because Creole soul's a whole different game.
Right.
That's
right.
And I learned how to eat real gumbo. Most people don't even know what that is.
And sometimes the food on the road is really rough, and so when we get a good meal, it's a great day.
Absolutely.
One of the things I was just thinking while you were talking is that when you look at the band, the Family Stone Band, which is and you can talk about that more, but the Family Stone Band, who goes out on tour, honoring the history of Sly and the Family Stone.
Yeah.
Jerry, again, anytime you see that show on tour, get to see the show, because it's amazing. Carrying on that music that just makes you feel good. But what I love and appreciate about the band is that a lot of artists that I've worked with, you see these problems on the road. I'll say health problems.
Absolutely.
They drink too much. They do other things too much in excess.
Yes.
The discipline of this band is something that I am so grateful and so appreciative. There are no issues like that, because that creates a whole different energy, right?
It does,
And I appreciate that you have brought that and passed that knowledge on to create this band that's healthy.
I had to learn it myself,
Right.
Recently, I wasn't that much of a drinker, but I drank too much, and that's not a good. You got to set an example for your band, and I can do that now, and I love it. My band loves it. They tell me, Papa J, things are way better now. We always loved the way you play and everything, but now everything is more. You're directing your energy more than before. Especially my lead singer, who I have right now, who looks like Prince, can do Prince, he can do Sly,
Plays how many instruments?
6.
6 instruments.
Like
amazing.
Sly.
Super talent.
He is. I found him at BB King's. Found him at BB King's in New York about 6-7 years ago, before they closed it. And the ex-vice president of CBS was with me. We were watching, and he came on stage, and I was jamming with him. Then I got off, and he came on, and he played 5 instruments. He did a Sly song, sounded like Sly, and he did a Jimi Hendrix song, he can play like Jimi Hendrix. So I looked at Al, and we nodded to each other, and I said, because I wanted to fire my existing Sly guy too, because what happens when you have a band that you're honoring the real band, a lot of them times they get on the ego thing to where they think they're Sly, and they start acting like it, and coming on late, it's just a minute, and what happens though usually is I quite simply say, listen, excuse me, I love you, you're fired. And I don't have time. I'm too old to be watching people become what they're not. And so when I found the right person, he doesn't even need to play with me. He's very well established in New York. He works with the union people, does jobs. He goes out and dresses up like Prince. He looks like Prince. He can do a whole Prince show. But his favorite band is Sly the Family Stone. And his parents are the same age as me. We have almost the same ethnic background, except I have Navajo on one side and he has African. But we're mutts, And I just love the guy.
We're all mutts.
He's like a kid. Yeah, we are.
We're all mutts, right?
Some of our are more mutt than the other.
Yes, that's it. We have no differences. We're all there. We're that mixture and love each other. And which leads me back to another story that we talked about is you were on tour when Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated.
Yes.
This story just tears my heart because of course my love for Dr. Martin Luther King.
I loved him too.
The King family, Coretta Scott King, but to then be here in this, where I am today in this time and space, and to be able to talk to you where you lived it, right?
Yeah. So
it's not just passing on. I'm talking to someone who was there, who lived it, who lived through some really tough times in our country. The civil rights movement, the racial tension, and all that was going on. So this story, Jerry, really, really needs to be shared and passed on.
Yeah, well, our first thing I like to say is that we had a lot of problems in the beginning because we're a multiracial band, which was very unusual, and we're a multi-song. We're multi-gender, which is girls in the back, boys up front. We had me and Cynthia right out front in rows, and also when we're in certain areas, there's a lot of prejudicial things happening with us. I was in Chicago when we got the word, and Sly said, "I got to get you out of town." And so we had a van. He made me lay down in the van, and then we were driving through Chicago. We were on the west side, and we're driving through, and being the damn fool sometime that I am, I was looking over, peeking over. Somebody said, "There's a white guy there." And then he started chasing the van, and then we just had to run out of there. But we were brokenhearted. I cried when he died. He was bringing so much to America, and I was honored to talk to his daughter. His daughter's born the same time as my son, 1963,
Yeah, no.
My other kid's born in 1995 because I'm an old dog.
You see, this is what we do all day, right? When we're on tour, we have these amazing conversations, and of course, Jerry's humor is next to none. But Jerry has just a million stories.
Questlove got 12, 13 hours of it, but I didn't tell him though that I realized that being crazy means never having to say you're sorry. That's one thing.
And as we always say, crazy's good. We don't want to be normal, regular people.
Oh, absolutely. I enjoy life. I appreciate people. I appreciate beauty, but I try not to appreciate beauty too much anymore because of my age. And I appreciate the beauty of a wonderful woman that has taken care of me for 27 years. And
amazing.
That is a blessing.
Shout out to Trini. Thank you for all you do, Trini.
Hi, Hun Bun. My nickname. So the band goes up, is Hun Bun there?
So, and Trini does a lot of the work behind the scenes, in management and tour schedules, and she just does a lot. So, shout out to Trini.
Yeah, hi, sweetheart. We're going to play Thunder Valley next week. All I do, she does everything. I come up there like this, I sign the checks,
And she keeps you healthy. She's a nurse. Jerry doesn't have to worry. She's there to check pulse.
I used to, in my 70s, because I have a lot of hereditary problems, like I'm on my second pacemaker, but before I got all that, I have a family, all my family all died of heart attacks, and when I was in my 70s, I was having problems. I wake up in the middle of the night, she got this thing on my finger, checking the thing, and she had to call the ambulance a couple of times when I was still had the band, but I was in my 70s.
Right.
And I went in there, got everything taken care of now, and all 14 of my doctors love me. I'm healthy. I do 10,000 steps a day, and if it's raining outside, I go to Costco, I go to Raley's, I go all the supermarkets, and I get my steps. There's no excuse. It's raining out. I can't get my steps today. Well, you're just a damn fool, because you exercise all kind of different ways. You can do it. You can stand in place, and you can march.
Sit in a chair.
Sit in a chair and do it.
Lift some weights, and you don't even need a gym membership. These are all things you can just do on your floor, in your living room, in the hotel room.
Absolutely.
So We went out walking. It's really cold here in Park City, and today it's actually even snowing. So we that didn't keep us. We went walking in the morning. That's right. So
trying to keep up with her.
No, I'm trying to keep up with Jerry. 82 years old, and he is a powerhouse, just really, and full of life. The soul that runs through Jerry, it's just a beautiful thing.
Well, I can honestly say it is not me. What's happening is my belief in my higher power, which is Jesus. That comes through you. If you let it come through you, the best of you comes out. If you want to hide it and block it, then go have about 9 cans of beer or whiskey or drugs and stuff. That is done. I mean, everybody does it once in a while, and that's fine. But if you use that as a crutch, it takes away all the special things that made you who you are, that got you in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And we're not just in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, we're in the Blues Hall of Fame. We're in about 4 Hall of Fames,
wow.
And we're at the R&B Hall of Fame, but the big one is in Cleveland. We got inducted in January 12th, 1993. They built it in 95, so we got inducted in Los Angeles. And the mayor of Cleveland and the governor of Ohio was there. And what an honor, and I am just so grateful to be here talking to you. I mean, she's really in good shape for 29. I mean that,
Thank you, Jerry. Jerry he's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun, and you admire Jerry's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame jacket. I don't know if you can see it.
This is the second one. The one that you get, they first give you, is all black. Then a few years later, as far as I know, I'm the only one in the band that got it. They mailed this to me because I go there all the time. The president sends me birthday cards. When I go there with my band here, they send a limo. They take me underneath the Hall of Fame. There's an office down there, and the president comes down and he gives us food and stuff. And back then, well back, I would have a little cocktail, but no more. And the lady that handled it all, she's just retiring now. But there are always going to be new people, and they keep improving it. They have a section for Cynthia Robinson there, a whole section, and they have Janis Joplin's original car. It was all beat up and stuff, like it was a MG, I think, something like that. And I've done lectures there, and they're so wonderful. If you're in Cleveland, you need to go see the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It is amazing. I've never been. I mean, my mama didn't respect me that much, until she saw me in Aunt Sullivan. But,
sure.
But anyway,
you know your mama. I know your mama. Of course you did.
Yeah, she could fight.
We're not going to talk about mama. Mama gave birth to Jerry, and so
my mama she could fight. You did not want to mess with her because she had all of her brothers were boxers.
Yeah.
Her grandfather. Was a Navajo hero, and so I'm really proud of my family for coming back, even though we were poor, even though some of my relatives couldn't go through town at night, even though I'm a white guy, but my cousins, some of them are not, some of them look like Navajos, and that's just the way the United States is, and that's a great thing. We're mixed, and the prejudice that used to be is not anymore, and most of my relatives live in Longmont and Denver, and my birth certificate was handwritten. It said, Shamrock Mines, Colorado, County of Meld. There is no County of Meld. The guy couldn't write. It's a County of Weld.
It's amazing, though, that you just said that the prejudice is not anymore because...
It's not.
But it's the level, because the prejudice that you experienced.
Right.
Because it's still here, but... It's improved in terms of, you're not getting hung from trees, and you're not, fearing for your life that someone's going to shoot you because when you walk out the door because of the color of your skin.
Absolutely.
But the microaggressions, the things that we just see that are the subtle microaggressions that you see in society, and also there is discrimination, right?
50 years ago it was worse.
Sexism, there's ageism, all the isms. So we just are going to do our role in our communities and to the people that are in our networks, and to do our best to spread love, to spread humanity, love one another, take care of one another, and
sing a simple song.
Yes.
I don't know why I said
go
that.
out and talk to everyday people. And that's what our
and dance to the music if you get a chance.
As a matter of fact, I want to take you higher.
Absolutely.
Right. Awesome. Well, we have our car that's, we're getting out of town today.
Yeah, we're going to run for it. Stop snowing.
That's right. So thank you very much for being here with us today. Look forward to seeing the film released on Hulu on February the 13th. Please make sure you watch Sly Lives, a.k.a. The Burden of a Black Genius.
Absolutely.
So thank you.